Bien, acabo de llegar a Irún, en el noreste de España, después de mi largo viaje. Well, finally I arrived to Irún in northeast of Spain after my long and exhausting trip. Right now I'm in this small park in Irún and resting and relaxing. I realized that in front of me is about 850 kilometers or 40 a few days walking the Camino del Norte to Santiago across northern Spain. Starting from this small border town in Irún between France and Spain, I will be walking through the mountains, valleys and streams of the Basque Country, Cantabria, Asturias and Galicia regions. On the way, I will visit larger towns such as San Sebastián, Bilbao, Santander, Gijón, perhaps Oviedo, and finally I will reach Santiago de Compostela. I begin my journey tomorrow on August 17th, 2018, walking my first etapa, 25 kilometers from Irún to San Sebastián. Well, it is northern Spain and it is the Camino del Norte, and many times rain will be my walking friend. But I know I will make it anyway to Santiago. Well, let's see then how it will go. At present, the weather as predicted is not so friendly. It is a cloudy day and it begins to drizzle right now. And tomorrow, unfortunately, more rain is probably expected. Something woke me up. I cracked my eyes open. Total darkness. I hear unmistakably a commotion across the room. A murmur of people, intertwined sporadically with the sound of zippers and clipping of buckles. Where am I? Oh, I know. It is the sound of the albergue in the morning, and this sound of music will wake me up for many days of my walking. I didn't sleep well and feel tired after my long trip. Being glued to my bunk bed, I hear the pelting rain.
Are you afraid, my friend?
First day of walking in the rain terrifies me. I jumped out of my bed. In the lobby, I put on my poncho and begin my walking. On the outskirts of Irún, I lost my way. Drenched by rain and with the help of local passerby, I found my path. Ascending a first brutal climb to Santuario de Guadalupe, at the height of 300 meters was exhausting in that downpouring torrent. A steep gradients transformed the trail to the stream with swift flow. It was tough. In the noontime, the rain subsided. Coming into the small seaside town of Pasajes de San Juan was strenuous and precarious. When I got down, I was entirely drained of strength and energy. After resting in the village, I took a very long staircase extending upward to a height of 150 meters. The next 7 or 8 kilometers led me into the trees. Then another steep climb, and finally to San Sebastián. At last, I had seen San Sebastián's most impressive side, the Playa de la Concha. Early morning, I was on my way to Zarautz, walking around the Playa de la Suriola. After yesterday's hard walk, I feel today worn out even more. There is a short ascent out of San Sebastián, but a hike to little town Orio marks the major challenge. There is another 300 meters steep ascent. These climbs are more tiring today than yesterday, but they may feel even harder for me given those exertions. From this point, I see the town Zarautz and the end of my walk today. Zarautz has the region's longest beach, and not coincidentally, its population always triples during summer months. This stage to Deva offers a happy balance between beach towns, sea views, and 3 quiet hills, each ascending to 200 meters. After rainy and hard hike from Irún to San Sebastián, the weather for the last 2 days is absolutely gorgeous, with sunny and cloudless sky. This stage offers me also two surprises. Before entering Deva, the trail brings me the first surprise, walking through deep and sticky mud. Yes, so far as I see, there is the mud. Do I love it or hate it? I have no answer yet. Only I know I have no choice, and I have to go through it. Another surprise waiting for me in Deva is the bullfighting, or corrida de toros. I have seen films and read books, but I have never seen it live. I'm thrilled to watch the dramatic glamour, grace, and performance. Well, I have to admit that so far I didn't share my thoughts and experience because perhaps I had many reasons why. For the first 2 days of my walking, I was very, very exhausted walking throughout these mountains. I took very few pictures and took very few short videos. Many pilgrims on the way, no, not many pilgrims, but a crowd of pilgrims disturbed me to set up my camera and share my thoughts and observations. Besides, everybody was racing to small albergues, and it made me inconvenient to walk, since few times I found on the door full completo, and I know that you know what it means. In Spain, bullfighting is seen as a fine performance art rather than a competitive sport. A matador sees himself as a performance artist rather than as an athlete. The bullfighting top performers are awarded artistic honors such as the Medal of Fine Arts. These honors are similar to other artistic disciplines such as literature, film, and music. A corrida de toros is a public, highly ritualized event. The corrida has 3 distinct parts, or tercios. The event opens with the paseillo, or the opening parade. The 3 matadors enters the arena together with their support crews, accompanied by band music to salute the presiding dignitary, the president. The president, the chief assessor of the bullfight, stands and salutes the parade as they reach his side of the ring. Next, the bull enters the ring. In the first stage, the tercio de varas, the matador steps into the ring and opens his creative work by performing stylistically charged opening passes to take control of the bull. In the second stage, the tercio de banderillas, the matador attempts to plant 2 barbed sticks made of wood in the bull's shoulders. On most occasions, 3 pairs will be placed to complete the tercio. The banderillas are placed by provoking the bull to charge face on. As the bull approaches, the banderillo leans over the horns to place the banderillas. Obviously, he avoids to be caught or seriously gored by the bull. This phase also gives the matador a final chance to assess the bull, its behavioral tendencies, and movement before the final act, the act of the faena. In the final and the longest third stage, the faena, the matador is one-on-one with the bull, during which he employs his famous one-handed red cape, the muleta. The faena, the performance with the muleta, is the main part of the matador's artistic display. During the faena, the matador will strive to display an aesthetically and technically coherent performance, the killing of the bull. He will attempt to evoke an emotional reaction in the crowd, making them connect with his performance. In the final act of the performance, the matador will move the muleta to invite the bull to attack. At the same time, he's taking a step towards the bull. As the bull and matador come together, he will place quickly the sword high up between the bull's shoulder using his right hand. Experts judge that the excellence of any single fight depends about 60 to 70% on the faena. In cases of a strong matador performance, the crowd petitions the president for the matador to receive a trophy. The trophy can be either one of the bull's ears, both ears, or, in rare cases, both ears and the bull's tail, which is the highest honor that can be awarded. What is walking? Hiking the Camino del Norte, do you ruminate? What is walking? Walking has always been one of our favorite ways to move in nature. It is a slow, habitual mode of travel and a state in which the mind, the body, and the nature are aligned. Eating, drinking, sleeping, and walking are natural elements of our life. A proper balance of these elements is required for you to enjoy a healthy lifestyle. In most cases, however, you consciously or unconsciously ignore walking as an important element of your life. Don't forget, the human body is designed to move around for a minimum of 12 hours every day. But suddenly, we are sitting. We are sitting at home, at work, and in a car. Today we sit more than ever before in human history. A sedentary lifestyle may cause more harm than good. Seneca, a Roman philosopher and statesman born in Cordoba, in Spain, said this: It does good also to take walks out of doors, that our spirits may be raised and refreshed by the open air and fresh breeze. I was speechless when I entered the village Bolivar. I did not realize that a migrant from this village traveled to America, where his descendant, Simon Bolivar, one of the famous libertadores of America, became well known around the world. There are a couple of statues and a museum in his honor. The Basque Country, with its mountainous terrain and numerous climbs and drops ranging from 300 to 500 meters, as well as green and humid valleys and extensive forests, is a green paradise. It is a land of beautiful vistas, beach, oak and birch trees, and holm oaks. Since the trail winds in parallel with the northern coast, the terrain is wrinkled with rivers entering the Atlantic Ocean, giving the hikers on the Camino del Norte a full dose of descents and ascents.
The blade, right? Pick up bamboo. Bamboo. No. Video.
Click.
Y además de lengua. Los míos eran, bueno, estos no. Una lengua, una salsa. Las mías eran de lengua.
Urik aintzat, baldiman aiz trakkuina, bani pozik jakina, zu ere zarritu behintzat, eta sorpresa gehiago dauzkat, galdetzen dakinarentzat, eta sorpresa gehiago dauzkat, galdetzen dakinarentzat.
When I came near Bilbao, the largest city in the Basque Country, I decided to stay a day longer, to explore it more, and of course to visit the Guggenheim Museum Bilbao. Entering Bilbao, I am aware of a variety of architectural styles ranging from Gothic, Art Deco, Art Nouveau, Neo-Gothic, and contemporary architecture. But there is something else that immediately has caught my attention. The streets are lined with open restaurants offering a wide variety of food and drinks, concerts and music, and a crowd of people. Something is going on, maybe a festival. Soon I learned that this is Semana Grande, also known as Aste Negusia, meaning Big Week. And this is Bilbao's biggest festival and is a 9-day event which occurs in the month of August. Semana Grande honors the Virgin de Begoña and is also a celebration of Basque culture. It comprises of a whole host of events, from street concerts, songs and fireworks to parades, as well as traditional Basque dances. I did walk today 18 kilometers and more kilometers in Bilbao, observing the Semana Grande. Yes, I'm tired, and I retreat slowly to albergue to rest. Tomorrow is another day of excitement. After heavy rain and storm at night, I begin my early morning walking to the Guggenheim Museum Bilbao.
Dime, Eugenia.
Llevamos 3 horas esperándote en el bar.
The Guggenheim Museum is a very well-known museum of modern and contemporary art designed by Canadian-American architect Frank Gehry. Among architecture, the building itself is frequently considered as one of the most important architecture works. This spectacular building is covered in titanium panels and has its own important collection, as well as sharing the largest private modern and contemporary art collection in the world with New York and Venice. The Fine Arts Museum is one of the best in Spain and has a complete and priceless art gallery with 3 collections: old art of El Greco, Zurbarán, Goya or Van Dyck, contemporary art as Gauguin, Bacon and Tapies, and Basque art of Regoyos, Zuloaga or Itorino. The Guggenheim Museum has become the cultural and tourism driving force of the Basque Country. The festival, of course, continues today with concerts, bullfights, theatrical programs, gastronomic competitions, children's workshops, and a giant egg and flower food fight through the streets. Basque culture is, of course, a big part of the festival, which includes beautiful Basque folk music, songs, and dancing. Nightly concerts and dances, as well as firework competitions, are also held and are an important part of the festivities. Walking through Bilbao, I decided finally to stay a day longer because I would like to see Guggenheim Museum and to observe big fiesta taking place at this time in the town, so-called Semana Grande. The crowd was absolutely amazing in the old town. At Astenagusia or Semana Grande, Basque culture is celebrated at its fullest. Absolutely at its fullest. It is my 10th day of walking the Camino del Norte from Irún to Santiago. I just left Portugalete and I'm on the way to Castro Cordiales. Today I will cross the border between Basque region and Cantabria. That's the way to go. When you decided and arrived to begin your journey, then enjoy it. Savor every minute. Remember your real goal, the thing that brought you out here in the first place, and fight hard for it. If you make it all the way to the end, then you will have done a beautiful thing. But just remember, the end of your journey can be anywhere, and you get to choose it. Long distance hiking requires patience. Don't be a hiker that is not being able to enjoy the beauty around you, since you are focused more on meeting daily distances and chasing time. The 30 kilometers walk from Castro Urdiales to Laredo is on the winding asphalt road with a heavy traffic. The walk is unsafe. There are no sidewalks and crosswalks. In the village Pontaron, a local resident advised me to go north to the villages Oriñón and Sonabia, then to join the beautiful trail parallel to the Atlantic Ocean through the El Monte Candina. Stefano, an Italian from Rome, whom I met in Pontaron, made a decision to go with me. Approaching Oriñón, I see from the road the impressive mass of limestone with cliffs nearly 500 meters to the sea. Of course, I didn't know yet that I will climb it. From Sonabia, I hike a large sandy area, then sandy trail traversing the steep gradient at the foot of the rocky wall of Candina. Then I hike higher. And higher. And higher. On a sandy path, on the grassy steep hillside between the rocky wall and the sea. Here, I make a fatal mistake, and as a result, I ended up balancing perilously on a 300-meter cliff edge, plunging directly to the Cantabrian Sea. My legs feel like jelly. I have to retreat slowly, terrified at the thought of some frightful misfortune that could happen to me here. Desperately, I find my way and climb the steep side of a rocky wall that appears to be almost vertical, using hands and feet. After narrowing in a rocky passage, at its end, I climbed the wall with the arch. I hiked through it with the help of a steel rope to a terrace at 400 meters. Here, Stefano and I took a long rest, which allows us to enjoy the mountain and the sea at the same time. This mountain hosts the largest colony of griffon vultures on the Cantabrian coast. Stefano's stick is helpful for me to get up and move on. It is my first time I grasp and hold the stick. From the resting place, we hike along the wide grassy terrain and begin the descent from uncomfortable and pronounced, very steep rocky ridge, terrain of grass and rocks, and then between oak trees. Finally, we reach the 10-kilometer hill hike. After 14 hours of challenging hike, we entered Laredo, worn out, but blissful. It is perhaps the most challenging, the most strenuous, and the most frightening hike on the entire Camino del Norte. Looking back, I am impressed with my achievement. Why do you hike? This question you hear quite often while hiking, and there are a variety of answers. Therefore, you begin to wonder if through hiking or pilgrimage is crazy. Am I crazy to experience something new and different? Or whether everyone else is crazy and through hikers are the only sane ones? You might think it is crazy that there are people who think that the only way to get through life is to get a job, to get a wife, to get kids, and retire. It is just crazy, but for whom? It may sound crazy, but when you hike it, it is not. But your concerns may contradict the very simple reason why you chose to hike in the first place. Certainly, you want to take back the time your friends, your family, your work have demanded from you for years. Why I hike the Camino? I hike the Camino del Norte because, first and foremost, I want to pray with my feet, walking to Santiago and thanking God for my recovery and complete remission of my cancer. I want to recover from constant bombardment of through media and social media that are embracing us with the tightening grips. I want to decouple myself from the everyday life routine and experience walking 850 kilometers along northern Spain. I want to feel the wind on my face. I want to feel the sunshine on my face. I want to feel the rain. I want to feel the smell after it rains and I want to feel the mist. What else? Today is August 29th, Wednesday, and I am on the way to Santander from Güemes. The walk is short, 15 kilometers, just next to the ocean. Beautiful, cloudy, with rain from time to time, but enjoyable. And today I feel good and great. I'm rested finally after my strenuous walk from Castro Urdiales to Laredo. I was very tired. Next day I had my lactic acid built in my quads. Yesterday to Güemes, 30 kilometers, I barely walked, took me 10 hours. And today is a different day. Feeling I'm happy again, I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Before entering beautiful town, Santiago del Mar, I walk unhappily throughout the highly industrialized and polluted region of Requejada and Barreda, where many industrial plants are located, emitting unbearable, stinky odor. Santiago del Mar is the town of three lies, because neither it is a saint, santo, nor flat, llana, nor it is by the sea, del mar, as its name implies. Santiago del Mar is really very beautiful old town, beautifully maintained, and a lot of tourists are coming for holidays and weekends. Cantabria is mountainous and coastal region with countless green valleys due to the wet and moderate oceanic climate. The coastal mountainous terrain, rising to 500 meters, meets the ocean in a line of abrupt limestone cliffs broken by rivers and beaches. Hiking the Camino del Norte, you will see the Cantabrian mountain abruptly rising parallel to the Atlantic Ocean. The mountains are mostly made of limestone, with great limestone masses of Picos de Europa. Unfortunately, as you enter Cantabria, the way is mostly on the winding asphalt roads, which often leads along the highways with heavy and high-speed traffic. The walk is very unsafe. Tomorrow I will enter Asturias. I am on my way from Comillas to Colombres. I passed Saint Vincent de la Barquera. Perhaps I am half on the way to Colombres, which is quite a long stretch, 30 kilometers. The weather is beautiful, hot. I think wherever I am on Camino, the rain disappears. So far I had only 2 days of rain, and otherwise beautiful sky, blue, cloudless. So that's good. I feel better than yesterday. 2 days ago I have eaten something and it weakened me, my stomach. For the yesterday, today I'm on the chicken soup only. Hiking through Cantabria and Asturias, you will encounter magnificent houses with very unique and exotic styles. They are known locally as Casas de Indianos, and they were built by locals who immigrated to America. Having returned to Spain, the Indianos built their homes combining colonial architectural styles such as Cuba, Argentina, and other South American countries. Well, today I'm on my way from Colombres to Llanes, 23 kilometers. I am almost 2 hours on the way. I chose this alternative road, the coastal ruta, beautiful cliffs, and you can see the Picos de Europa behind me. Yesterday, even though the stretch was 30 kilometers, but it was fantastic. One of the most beautiful part of walking across Cantabria. The terrain in Asturias turns mountainous and rural again, but not as physically demanding as in the Basque Country. It is a land of vast greenery and lush vegetation. Although asphalt roads are still on the table, there are considerably more natural trails and dirt roads than in Cantabria. When trail winds in parallel with the northern coast, the terrain is cut deeply with streams and rivers entering the Atlantic Ocean, giving the hikers countless of steep descents and ascents ranging from 200 to 400 meters. What do you learn during the thru-hiking? I guess that walking the Camino you learn a great number of useful things related to adventure you have experienced. Perhaps your first hard lesson was that the trail is all about baggage. The trail teaches you what stuff you really need and what you really don't need, and how to get rid of that baggage. And you have no choice. If you want to stay on the trail, you have to get rid of some stuff. And so you start leaving certain things on the trail and carry only what you need. At last you realize what baggage is and what is not. Conceivably, your next lesson you learn is to start the hiking slow and finish it faster. At the beginning of a long-distance hike, it is helpful to start slow and build up the distance at least for over a week. A slow start also gives you time to evaluate how your body is feeling each day. The trail also teaches you that the mountain's height is one thing, but the way the trail goes up, it is another. The Cantabrian mountains are short, but the trail is steep.
French for cheers, right?
Today, I am on my way from Cueres to La Isla. And today is rainy day. Since morning, heavy rain. So I crossed halfway between Irún and Santiago. So there is perhaps 425 kilometers to go, and I'm excited about it. I have a little problem with my left heel. I got a bad blister, and I feel a little pain. How you can walk all Camino to Santiago without any blisters? Everyone has it, everyone suffers, and my turn is now. Patience. Yes, you learn during the thru hiking that patience is an important tool in overcoming frustration, especially if something happens to your body. And it is perhaps one of the most difficult things about a thru hike. Waiting around for your injuries to heal is the most common test of patience. Gracias. Pilgrimage or thru hiking is also a form of walking meditation. Walking long distance, sometimes many days or weeks alone, you dissect your life frame by frame, seeking for missing things in your life. Walking long distance, you learn about yourself. You learn perspective in life. You learn how to be self-reliant and how to be modest.
A ver, hija. A ver,
Once again, walking from Gijón to Avilés, the region of Tarazona town is strongly polluted by industrial activities with strong odors of certain chemicals. Being in Avilés, I find out interesting historical fact that Pedro Menandez de Avilés, an admiral, he captured Florida from the French and founded the city St. Augustine. And also he became the first governor of Florida. That's very interesting to be in Avilés to find out. The first governor of Florida is from this town, which anyway was very beautiful. Old town, well maintained, with the Asturian Baroque style. Very lovely town. Another my observation walking perhaps 550 kilometers from Iran to this point, what I find out that I walk about 80 or 85% on the hard surface, asphalt, local road, fast speed roads with the maximum speed for cars 70, 80, even 100 kilometers an hour. Very, very dangerous walk. Particularly on the winding asphalt roads in the mountains. Walking on the asphalt roads with the fast driving cars and walking throughout many areas with heavy industry and stacks emitting smelly odors are the most frustrating occurrences on the Camino del Norte. Well, that's my thought. Someone else can have different opinion, but that's how I feel. After weeks of walking, there are moments when you feel that your legs are as if separated from your body and they walk next to you. You are your upper body with the backpack only, as if not being supported but suspended in the air. The sensation of apparent weightlessness disposes the experience of pain and releases you from stress and anxiety, slipping you into a state of tranquility and absence of motion. Today I walked the Balotas Ruta, coastal Ruta. It is beautiful because walk is in the forest, mainly eucalyptus forest, and far away from the road. It is more tough because you walked up and down, crossing so many streams at the seawater level, so descending, ascending is constantly on the way. There are perhaps 10 or 12 mountains reaching 150, 200, 250 meters. So it would be perhaps 1800, almost 2000 meters climbing. Oh, this is my stick. I forgot to mention, for perhaps 2 weeks I'm walking with this stick and I'm very happy with it. I never walked with a stick and it is a tremendous help. A wooden walking stick provides a support when going uphill or as a brake when going downhill. It provides a balance point when crossing streams swamps, or other rough terrain. It allows testing mud and puddles for depth, clearing spider webs, and parting thick bushes or grass obscuring your trail. I can protect my boots from getting wet or full of mud. So this is my new Camino friend, amigos. Well, I would like to talk a little bit about my walking stick, which I started to use since Santa del Mar. Very nice piece of wood. And interestingly, when I walked through Cantabria Pueblo, one of the residents stopped me and talked about my stick. He asked me to stand up straight and put the chin on my stick, and he said, that's the right length. That's what we do in Cantabria. The stick has to be from the ground to your chin, because when you walk down and climb hills and mountains, you have to have certain length to move your hand along the stick. Well, I was pleased that I did the right choice, and perhaps my practical experience walking so many caminos finally came to the game. Wow, a stick. The man with a stick. Hiking the trails has its challenges, and while you begin hiking, numerous physical and mental challenges are mounting. For most people, the physical challenges don't keep people off the trail. Hiking is primarily a mental challenge, and the reason you might not be on the trail is the lack of motivation that affects your self-confidence. Both mental and physical strengths are significant, but mental strength is what keeps you motivated. Without mental strength, you never get physically strong. Why? Because if you have not developed the mental strength of focusing your attention in stressful situations, then you will have difficulty applying physical performance. And this may lead you to the fear of failure, which can bring your journey to an unexpected end. Yes, behind me is Ribadeo. Still I am in Asturias, but behind this river I will be in Galicia. September 16th. I will cross the border walking over this bridge. 600 kilometers or something is behind me, and 200 something is in front of me. Perhaps 9 days to reach Santiago. Yeah, I'm happy. For the last 3 days, I have no problem with my body. No pain, no knee pain, no blisters, they are gone. I'm a healthy man to keep going. Well, today I'm walking from Villela to Lourenço. I have 170 kilometers to Santiago, and I will be there in 8 days. Beautiful trail, no asphalt road. I'm walking in the forest, eucalyptus forest all day. The fragrance is so special, and really it is nice to be in that forest. For most of my journey on the Camino del Norte, I think 25, 26 days and more than 600 kilometers, I have been walking with a friend of mine, a silent friend, because he never said to me any single word. He was a humble and a sincere friend. He guided me through many hills and mountains and puddles and deep mud on the trail after the rain. And this friend is my stick. This is my friend, a mi amigo. As I near my journey, I would like to say that the best part of Camino is meeting people. We walk together, eat, talk, pray, share sleeping quarters, support each other, and have fun together. But there was also this silent friend, which, like a dog, accompanies blind people and guides them. This silent friend is my stick. A beacon, a guide that literally carried me over many hills and mountains, puddles and trails filled with mud after the rain, and had given me wings to soar. Like many before us, since the medieval time, we carry a torch so others, long after us, can seek joy, beauty, and truth on this road. Of course, none of it would be possible without Him, highest in the heaven. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Right after arriving in Galicia, the route abandons the coast, descending southwest through green, scarcely inhabited Galician hills and pastures. In the morning, you walk in the mist and fog, sometimes dense fog. You will hike through isolated villages and roaming cattle. It definitely offers some of the stunning views, but it may also be quite challenging. You will be surrounded by green and rolling landscapes, many clear and fast-flowing streams, ferns, and moss that covers trees, rocks, and countless number of stone walls. These stone walls are a legacy of a farmer's hopes and dreams and a laborer's turmoil, all carefully placed in a geometric structure. There is no doubt that hiking is physically challenging. Between the steep ups and downs, Slick routes, muddy trail, slippery rocks, chilling water crossing, muscles and joints fatigue, blisters, and a constant battle with the weather. There is something that pushes you physically at just about every turn.
Weiter. Ey, der geht genau vor, das ist ja Hammer. Der Schäferhund, ich glaube, ich muss doch mit Schäferhund. Ein Schäferhund ist auch schön.
Ganz ruhig, strikt um 22 Uhr. Da warst du gut, da gibt es keine Küche. Da gibt es so eine private Herberge. 28 Betten sind.
The experience of pain is one of the most challenging and the most memorable aspects of hiking the trail. Not the acute pain, but the steady, near constant low-level pain. Pain is horrible, there is no question. That is why we spend our whole lives avoiding it. A successful thru-hike demands from you to know pain on a daily basis and then to push through it. Definitely, completing a thru-hike is characterized by bittersweet feelings. You feel a sense of achievement, bond up with positive feelings and emotions. Finishing the walk is an intense emotional experience for you, enriched with pride, satisfaction, and joy. All aspects of the journey, especially the challenges and difficulties you encountered, made the end of the walk more fulfilling. You have initial bursts of positive feelings that might be short-lived. Your joy may be softened by feelings of sadness and a sense of loss that the walk had ended. But mostly, your feeling is more sustained and you experience deep sense of satisfaction well beyond the end of the walk.
Excuse me. Tell her to get in.
Today is my happiest day on the Camino del Norte, the day of entering Santiago de Compostela. I am happy and I feel joyfulness and at the same time some sadness. Why? First of all, I'm proud of myself. Walking 900 kilometers across the northern Spain from Irún to Santiago de Compostela throughout mountainous Basque Country, Cantabria, Asturias and Galicia. I walked step by step with no bus, no taxi, no train. Walking, I've seen beautiful Spanish landscape and beautiful people. I've seen things that many tourists visiting Spain have not been able to see. I met unknown Cantabrian woman. She invited me to her garden to pick up apples and pears, as many as I want for my journey. I met the Cantabrian man, Antoni, who invited me to his house to show real Cantabrian house, to his garden, really arboretum garden, planted with exotic beautiful trees. And finally he invited me to his swimming pool, filled up with cold water from Picos de Europa, to swim, take relax, before I will continue my journey. The walking was really enjoyable, but unfortunately there is one caveat. Almost 80 or 85% of walking is on the hard surface, on asphalt road, very often high-speed road, and it was very, very dangerous and unsafe. Why I feel sadness? I think because I know that back at home I will join this modern lifestyle and I will connect to the everyday life routine. And there will be no more simplicity of pilgrimage, walking, eating and sleeping. No more. Yes, the man with the stick has to go. The man with the stick has to enter, finally, Santiago de Compostela, the sacred place where God made himself known to others. Yo llegué, acabo de llegar a Santiago. Finally, after 39 days of walking, including 3 days of resting, I arrived to Santiago de Compostela. I've been walking through sunny days, rainy days, overcast days, through mountains and streams, and I got here. And I know it wouldn't be possible without him, the highest in the heaven. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Once back home, true hikers may have the primary challenges communicating the hiking experience to those around you. You want to talk about it so much to everybody, but they wouldn't get it or are not so much interested. You feel like you have done this great thing and nobody appreciates it.